Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Scoop Zone. Right now we're still missing a couple of our players. Arwen is out dealing with family stuff. And of course, 24/7 is in the middle of moving. And we don't know the status of him right now. He's been sort of non-communicado. And I'm hoping everything is going okay with him because he is a close friend of ours and an important part of our show. As is Arwen. I don't want to make that sound like Arwen's not important. She is totally important. We love her. And but let's get going here, guys, because I know before the show started, Keith had a question for Sil, and I actually thought this was an interesting way to start the show.
Well, with San Diego Comic Con coming up this weekend, I was just wanting to know from Sil what is he excited about as far as DC films and the MCU are concerned?
Yeah. No, that was a good question because it's like, you know, what are they really going to do, right? But it's like, I'm excited more for the Comic-Con is back. Like, they're actually, going to be in Hall H. I'm really looking forward to the couple early days, like Thursday, Friday, for like the creators and things like that. And then Marvel's going to have some animation stuff, which I'm excited to see about the X-Men animated. But yeah, as far as like the big guns, the Saturday show, Hall H. I mean, I'm not expecting a lot from DC, like, at all. Like, yeah. Me and Mikey was putting out some feelers, and like, we're not hearing nothing exciting. It's Black Adam, Shazam. That's what you're getting. Yeah, but that's like starting off the day, Saturday morning Pacific time, and then the primetime slot is Marvel. And we'll kind of go through some stories like with Miss Marvel and what was that setting up, and there's some potential that Feige may, just show us that next phase is not going to be crappy. That's all I want him to signify. So, that's what I'm excited for, to see that.
Wow, okay, that bar is just getting lowered nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. We've got some neat stories. It's going to be a short list this week. Not as big a news scoop week, rumors week as we normally like. And to be honest with you, some of the news and rumors, we both, all three of us kind of went, I don't really want to talk about that. But I found someone I think all of us agree are some good stories. And the first one off there is I wanted to talk about Amazon Prime wants to reunite cast in Stargate Reboot. Mm-hmm. And before I start reading this article, I do know that the creators of Stargate were always kind of miffed that the shows, no matter how good they were, didn't like those shows because it didn't involve them. They were completely not invited to be a part of it. And I'm wondering if we're going to see a change in this when I read this article. So this is by Edwin Francisco. A Stargate reboot is in the works at Amazon Prime, hoping to cast original actors Kurt Russell and James Spader back in the 1994. Producer Dean Devlin and director Roland Emmerich, those are the two guys. And I used to be friends with Dean Devlin because he was still kind of a nerd back in the 90s. And I ended up in a group with him, and we would talk. And I'm like, man, it's wild. But you couldn't do that today, man. Those guys don't take time for those nerd channels. Dean's too busy trying to get new shows going. But anyway, Devlin and Emmerich's sci-fi Stargate was a hit. As a result, the movie paved the way for films like Independence Day, which was in '96, a film that starred Russell as Colonel Jack O'Neill and Spader as Dr. Daniel Jackson, which were also recast for the TV series. Stargate was originally set as a trilogy, but they were never able to get it off the ground. While the property was still hot, MGM got a series started that Brad Wright and Jonathan Glassner created. The series was a sequel to the '94 film, and they recast the roles with Richard Dean Anderson and Michael Shanks. Stargate SG-1 was released in 1997. That one was popular enough that it spawned several spin-off shows, including Infinity, Stargate Atlantis, and Universe. Furthermore, it also produced books, comic books, games, and others. The TV series is very different from the original film. It developed into something new while still rooted within what Devlin and Emmerich created with Stargate. Recently, it has been reported that Amazon Prime is developing a sequel series based on the original film, and it seems like sequel or prequel reboots are all the craze these days. They say that, and it's not true.
Just because of Top Gun.
Fans really don't like prequels. Sequels they'll tolerate. Prequels, because there's no threat. I don't want to get into this right now. I'll get into it later, but there's no threat to your main characters that are in the story that it's a prequel to. And they're not going to die. They're not going to die. So why do it? It's like, I don't know. I always made fun of it. It's like, remember the movie, The Butler Did It? Now we're going to make a movie called Why the Butler Did It. It's a prequel. Yeah, it sounds dumb, doesn't it? That's what prequels are to me.
That did, yeah.
Yeah, since this is going to be based on the movie, Amazon Prime seems to be trying to get Russell and Spader to return to their titular roles. They're like 25 years older, so that's going to be odd but interesting. This news is interesting because it seemed like the original Stargate reboot was a lost cause. Devlin talked with Den of Geek about a failed reboot back in 2016. He said, quote, "It looked good for a couple of months, but now it's not looking so good, and there's just a lot of things that have to fire at the same time. And there was a moment when I thought it was all firing at the same time, and then it all kind of fell apart, and that really does happen quite often." Emmerich didn't have any confidence in making a new film based on the original '94 film. He said in an interview while promoting Moonfall back in February, yeah, he's another guy that's lost his juice. He has said some really stupid shit, Roland Emmerich. It won't happen. That won't happen because I thought that the people who watch the TV shows are the main fans. And to make a movie after 25 years, which has the same characters, it's not possible. I can even hear his snotty voice in this. I'm doing it for you. I hope you guys are enjoying
this. We are.
In a way.
Right. Just making sure. And so I decided not to do it. But I hope that somebody's redoing Stargate and starts a real series of movies because I could use the paycheck. It is to be somebody new and interesting, and I just don't want to go there anymore. It's like, because we had this idea at one point to do it as a TV show, but it was way too expensive. Everything I do has to have a certain quality to it, just not in the writing. And so actually I said no to a TV show because it was like $800,000 per episode. And I knew that at that time they were shooting like X-Files that spent 1.6 to 1.8 million per episode. I knew I cannot do what I want to do with that kind of budget. And yeah, it's a pussy excuse. Yeah, you agree with me, Sil. It's true. It's a really bad excuse. So for many years, even up to the early months this year, all we had heard was that making a TV show or even a movie is not going to happen. What changed? Well, let's find out. Amazon Prime is risking a lot of new IP for their own streaming service because they've been tanking. All of their progressive left stuff is just failing. They have been spending millions on their shows, Streaming services have changed drastically during the past couple years. Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Discovery, Disney, Paramount, NBC, heck, even gadget brands like Apple and Roku have their own shows now and movies. He doesn't say that there, but yeah, they even have their own films. I mean, they got Tom Hanks for Apple to do that stupid robot apocalyptic film. Disney spends like $25 million per episode. I mean, it was just like the show where he's trapped on an island, but now with a robot. So, Disney spends about $25 million per episode for MCU-related shows. Amazon's Prime's Lord of the Rings prequel series is priced at $58 million per episode. Man, that's money lost. Even Apple spent $45 million on making Foundation. I wasn't too pleased with that.
I don't think a lot of people were.
I was really disappointed with that.
They're not getting a lot of returns from that,
Yeah, each of them trying to get more and more subscribers, and I'm guessing it's not working. It's possible that Amazon Prime is putting in bigger budget than what Emmerich originally estimated. We don't even know how involved Emmerich and Dean Devlin are going to be with the project. See, that's to be honest with you, Dean Devlin is the one I really care about being involved with it, because he's really the heart of the productions. He really is.
Well, he comes up with really cool sci-fi ideas.
But Dean, he's a fucking nerd. I've talked to him. I've had conversations with him, long ones, that it was clear his passion about science fiction. MGM can actually start the project without them. They own the IP for the series, while Studio Canal owns the IP for the films. So if Amazon Prime is planning to reboot Stargate in their streaming service, they only need a deal with MGM. But having the original creators of the movie be part of the show may give them a chance to tell their story at last. And I'm telling you, I hope Dean Devlin jumps at this. And it is true what Emmerich said about TV show fans. Yeah, that show really hurt the potential for film sequels because it was so damn popular. Yeah. But this is also the reason why people still remember that the original Stargate is beloved so fondly. Perhaps this time they can bring both worlds into the new project, and that won't be bad at all for us fans. So, yeah, that's an interesting article. That was, of course, written by Edwin Francisco. Not bad. Not bad this time, Edwin. Doing better. You're not
Amazon
just copying from Wikipedia and slapping it in there. So, good job, man. Good job.
You know what?
It's my Jerry cups, isn't it?
You know, Amazon definitely has the money to be able to pull something like this off. And having the money means that you have a really good shot at being able to get James Spader to show up. And possibly, you know, I don't know.
Kurt Russell's got nothing going on right now.
I know, but I mean, Kurt Russell's one of those guys that even if you have the money, I still think he's a wild card in all of this. It really does depend on what you're going to do with his character. And again, I got nothing against James Spader, but I think if you have enough money, James Spader will definitely do it.
He has to be in complete retirement and brought back because something happened.
I just think that if you're able to get the two of them to be a part of this, and the story that you come up with doesn't suck, I think you've got a shot at something big. Just don't look at it as a way of keeping the both of them doing something. Kurt Russell doesn't seem to be the type that's really interested in doing television, and James Spader, no matter what he says,
it's got to be a paycheck. It's got to be a good paycheck to get
a really good paycheck and creative control eventually. I don't think they want to do that. I think Amazon wants to continue to be the dominant one in control, but if they have Dean Devlin, I'll be excited about it.
Yep. If he comes into it, that's when you're going to see my pulse jump. Any last thoughts on this, still, Keith?
Like I said, Amazon has the money. I mean, I am kind of, maybe because we used to Zazzle so much, I'm starting to be more concerned about throwing so much money on streaming. Like, you still want to utilize theaters. Amazon has MGM studios now, so they can do theatrical films. But this is more of a show, so it's kind of like a wait and see thing, because as we said with Foundation on Apple, hasn't really proved the returns. Throwing a bunch of money in streaming, so just something to think about.
No, I agree with you on that. I guess the next thing we'll talk about, we'll move on to Marvel. This article is, of course, by Mikey Sutton, our friend, and the man behind the curtain at geekositymag.com. Melissa Benoist, Benoist?
Benoist.
I don't know. Benoist.
Benoist.
It sounds a little bit too much like moist, and that would annoy my daughter. Benoist considered for the Fantastic Four. Mikey again wrote this one. Melissa is in the running for the Fantastic Four. Insiders revealed that Marvel Studios is looking at her for a possible role in the film. However, it may not be who you think, Sue Storm. At this point, it's hard to unsee Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman. Rumors circulated for her and her husband, John Krasinski, for years. He also quit that gig at Amazon. So I'm thinking, yeah, he's already in. But Emily Blunt is still, I don't know. I hope they can say the right numbers to her. But rumors circulated for her and her husband, Krasinski, for years. Moreover, Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange and Multiverse Madness sealed the image. On May 24th, I reported that a Disney Plus poll used fan art of Blunt as the Invisible Woman, and that's a pretty good sign right there. It set off alarm bells online, the internet crashed, dogs and cats began living together. She's a Ghostbusters, all right. But on the contrary, there was that odd leaked casting a month ago. It's like somebody took a fire extinguisher to the Blunt gossip. Apparently, Marvel Studios wanted virtual unknowns for the Fantastic Four. Specifically, that was John Watts' idea. According to the small screen video, Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige said no. Therefore, Watts left the Fantastic Four open.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. And
Makes sense. Yeah.
and I get why he wanted to have nobodies, but at the same time, you want a name to help sell your show.
You gotta sell
And
this film, right?
Feige knows that Marvel's been slipping.
Yeah.
Big
That's
time.
a good call right there. Yeah, I didn't read this article.
So, Small Screen added that Feige sought more established actors for the Fantastic Four, and you know why. So, if not Blunt, Melissa Benoist is an outstanding choice. First of all, Melissa played Supergirl for 6 seasons. Yeah, only 1 season, really. CW doesn't count.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
CW doesn't count. In other words, she knows how to be a superhero, kind of. Second, I'm sorry, I keep throwing in those little mean things. I can't help it. Secondly, she looks like the Invisible Woman. How can you say that and use the word invisible?
Well,
Come on, Mikey.
blonde.
You just said invisible. And the word "see." I would make fun of him in our private chat with him. Really? You can see that with invisible? Anyway, I love Mikey. I love you, Mikey. She looks like the Invisible. She looks like Sue Storm. Yes.
Sue Storm. Yeah.
Susan Richards. Sue Storm. Furthermore,
I saw
Melissa
Sue
Benoist
Storm.
has sharp timing with comedy. She does. I think she's a very good actor. And without a doubt, she would fit nicely into the MCU perfectly. But sources explain that she could be up for multiple roles in the Fantastic Four. If so, who is the other? It might be Frankie Ray. In December 2019, I scooped that Marvel Studios plan to introduce Ray in the Fantastic Four franchise. Ray is the Human Torch's girlfriend, and she also became the Herald of Galactus. What? In what version?
That's a deep cut right there.
I don't remember that.
I don't know that storyline.
It's always been Silver Surfer.
No,
Maybe
Silver
like-
Surfer is one of the Heralds
Right.
of Galactus.
Oh, see, I thought he was the only Herald. Okay.
No. Galactus has more than one Herald.
Oh, okay. All right.
This could connect Silver Surfer to the story. That's
Okay,
cool.
this is going to be interesting. All right.
Well,
Nonetheless, this is all up in the air. In contrast, Marvel Studios may have signed Melissa Benoist already as the Invisible Woman. Without a doubt, most fans will be pleased as she is. Certainly, Melissa Benoist deserves a cinematic franchise. After Supergirl's deserved cancellation, he didn't put that in. I put that in there. She signed on to produce and star in HBO Max's Girls on the Bus. She's only 33, so she could have a long run in the MCU, and that's true. She's at that age that franchises look for someone to take a role, to get that good 10 plus years. Above all, she's so likable, I doubt Blunt's followers will complain much. In all honesty, Warner Brothers should cast her as Supergirl in the DCEU. No offense to Sasha Calle, or whatever her name is, but Melissa Benoist was a better Supergirl. And I agree, I really liked her as Supergirl for one season. And she could be the Invisible Woman next. Only time will tell. So, your guys' thoughts on this?
You know what? Oh, you go first, Phil. I went first last time.
Yeah, well, with Melissa Benoist. I mean, first off, with Fantastic Four, like, what's not rumored at this point for directors, casting? Like, it's getting out of control with some of these rumors. But I can see her. I like that Human Torch angle that Mikey was talking about. Like, I would rather that actually, because Bryce Dallas Howard, that's another name that's been out there for Sue Storm as well, and so it can go different directions. But I like that additional report in there talking about why Watts was, I guess, moved off this project, right? Because he was trying to go a different direction, and then you got Krasinski. Everyone wants Krasinski, just to do the character justice at this point. So they got a lot going on with Fantastic Four. I think it's smart to do some well-known people. And so Melissa Benoist, not bad. I'm still more of an Emily Blunt for the Sue Storm angle. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll find all this out this week at Comic-Con. So we'll see.
Keith?
Here's my thing. My biggest complaint with all of the versions of the Fantastic Four that have been done over the last 15 years, 20 years almost, is that you've got to get the ages correct. Do not have a Sue Storm that looks like she's only 1 or 2 years older than Johnny. Okay? That's a big mistake. At this point, I wouldn't put it past them to have Emily Blunt and still go ahead and cast Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. You got to think about what you're doing here. Okay, Johnny definitely has to be someone in his early 20s. Sue has to at least be 5 to 10 years older than him, at the least, because she kind of helped raise him a bit. You want her to not quite be the same age as Reed, but you don't need her to be like in her, you don't need her to be 21 years old dating a guy in his 40s. That's not going to fly. So, at the very least, I'd say have a Johnny Storm that's at least 25, a Sue Storm that's at least 33, and a Reed Richards that's 44. Go like that and figure out who your actors are. And make sure they at least look the ages that they should be, and not have two actors that look like they could be twins,
right?
Playing them in close in age. You don't. That's dumb.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
And it's like whoever they pick, because like you said, what kind of run they want to do with these characters. This is all setting up to Secret Wars, right? So you probably want to get like a trilogy of Fantastic Four films, and then the big event, and then they'll be done. So you can get that age difference, like you said. I think that could work, for like a couple phases, So.
Yeah. Just make it worth it. That way, you know what they're feeling and thinking about the thing. I mean, you find an actor who's doesn't really even have to be on set, although they're probably going to end up using that same technology that they use, mocap that they use for the Hulk. But just put a little bit of thought into it, okay? That's all I ask. And remember, it isn't just having a woman that could just be there to keep the family together. She's got to be a strong, influential person. And also someone who's, and this is from the comics, Sue Storm has to be one of the most beautiful women in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way that character is. To the point where even, you got every guy in Marvel is like looking at Reed Richards going, how did you get her? I mean, how does that work? So that's the way it should be.
Right. if we're going by the comics, which
I
who
hope.
knows at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can move on to another MCU bit of story. This one's by Joy Lynn Francisco. This is Ben Affleck eyed to direct MCU project. Ben Affleck may just be the next MCU director for a top secret movie. Apparently, a new report reveals that Marvel Studios is considering tapping the Justice League actor to direct an MCU project. It's no secret that the actor has a reputable portfolio as a writer and director. And as an actor, he would have also had a hand at both DC and Marvel superheroes. Are we forgetting he also became Daredevil? No, we're not.
No.
Which was good until the teeter-totter scene. And the fight with Bullseye.
Yeah, but you know what? He didn't direct that. So.
Yeah. There's also the aspect of Ben Affleck being a writer himself. He has two current projects where he directs and writes the project, one of which is with his best friend, Matt Damon, where the first time they professionally teamed up for a writing project was Good Will Hunting. They won their first Oscars for that. I love these, was it Seth MacFarlane's joke about that on Family Guy, where it showed Matt doing all the work and Ben Affleck high and asleep on the sofa. He's like, yeah, just toss my name on that, would you? They won their first Oscars. The writer reunion with Damon is an untitled Nike project, which is now in post-production. Nike, that's weird.
Awesome.
The other one is
when they
entitled
signed Jordan.
Keeper of the Lost Cities for Disney. This was announced in 2021. Well, that's a good sign. If he's doing something for Disney, that's a shoe-in to Marvel. So this was announced in 2021. However, production updates of this said movie are still scarce. So I'm looking to see if there's anything else in here. I'm not seeing anything.
That Nike project is interesting because it's covering basically the people from Nike that signed Michael Jordan to that deal. So it's about that whole period of time. So that'd be interesting actually.
Yeah, and he would definitely be an uptick away from Taika Waititi's MCU work. Just not good. Very unhappy with that guy. What do you guys think of him coming to the MCU and being a director? Writer-director, maybe.
You know what? I think it'd be great depending on what the project is and how much autonomy he's going to have. I think the best thing that Kevin Feige could do right now to recover from the S show that Phase 4 has become.
What?
Is...
I told you, Gary. Yeah.
My only tune that changed is the fact that I blame Feige for a lot of this. When in reality, I was really unaware of the impact that Victoria Alonso was having. And once I realized who and what she was and what she was doing, I'm like, oh my God, she caused the derailing when she took over as president of Marvel. I'm like, no wonder they derailed and started going with the A-Team, and Captain Marvel.
I just think that having Ben Affleck coming in, I would love to see, a project that he could probably do that he'd be perfect for would probably be the Thunderbolts. Marvel's galactic almost version of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and it's going to be action-oriented.
Yeah, and that's the only kind of film that I think he's never really had a complete hand in, which is an action film combined with a lot of special effects. I don't think he's ever had that kind of film. He's done action movies. He's done movies with visual effects, usually directed by someone else. And the films that he has made have been a little more personable, character driven. So if you combine all of that, I think he could get away with doing something like Thunderbolts.
Point. Like I said, as a creator, Marvel, MCU needs people like Ben Affleck that's going to come in and be a little serious, like this next phase or two. Like you said, this whole Taika Waititi run, like I think Star Wars is probably doing one smart thing is that they're like, maybe we won't do your movie, Taika Waititi, right? So they're starting to get kind of smart here. But
well, I think because they got all excited. All the Shield people are like, look what Thor's bringing in right now, and all of a sudden it had a massive drop. Which is what I said. I warned. I said, you watch, it's going to drop. Because
and the word of mouth is shit.
Word of mouth is going to ruin this film because fans aren't liking it.
Versus what Spider-Man did. Spider-Man, when that film came out, hit. But then word of mouth took it, and it just went.
Yep.
Well, like Top Gun Maverick. Same thing. Like, it come out kind of modestly, then it just...
If you make a good film, people will come.
Oh, big time. All over the place.
Oh, it is. Right? And the drop that Thor had... 65% people are like, well, blockbusters do that. Well, it wasn't like they did gangbusters the first weekend. That's what people are understanding. Like, they really didn't hit the mark the first week. So to drop another 65% from that, it's like you're seeing this trend. And that's all I wanted to see this phase. I knew Doctor Strange was going to get away with it. And it did what it did. Now, you got like Wakanda Forever and stuff like that. So Marvel, they got to take these hits and realize like phase 4, this ain't it.
Yeah,
you get
the best thing they had was a Sony movie.
Exactly.
So
can we really count that?
And I want to toss in on this because I want to take another shot at Taika Waititi because he's really good when he's being managed.
Yeah.
When he's being managed, he does a good job. When he's left to his own devices, and somebody called him this one day, and I got irritated at it. They said, "Well, he's irreverent." I said, "You say that like it's supposed to mean something that it doesn't mean. I'll tell you what that means. It means he lacks reverence. That is what irreverent really means. His irreverent humor works in certain things in certain places, but like his own stuff, when he's doing something original, works. I love Jojo Rabbit. I love the TV show. What we do
in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows is hilarious. I haven't watched the premiere of the new season yet, and I'm looking forward to watching it when I get a break. But oh boy, I like that stuff. But when he's working on IPs like Star Wars, he needs or Marvel, he really needs to be managed because he's going to take things that deserve reverence and he's going to shit all over it, and he thinks it's funny. And I'm sure in his mind it's funny, and the people
no one's
like
laughing with them.
Yeah,
right? And see, Star Wars, Favreau had a big, had his thumb on Waititi the whole time when he was doing Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
right? That's why his Mandalorian.
That's why I'm using the word manage.
Right.
Marvel just sort of let him do his own thing. You did Thor Ragnarok. That was a big
Ragnarok.
hit. Yeah, it was a big hit. But did you not read some of the criticism from fans who give you the money? The ones who pay for your fucking bills?
They got away
they just don't listen.
Because of Infinity War, it was tying right into Infinity War at the end. I think people gave Ragnarok a pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, after that, they're like, "Oh, Taika, just do whatever you want this next film now," and we see the results. Like it's just
it's
one of the worst experiences I had in theaters.
What we called the army was "fuck Joe."
Yeah,
fuck Joe, man. I would have do whatever you want.
I really would have walked out of this movie in the theaters, this Love and Thunder, and I had a free ticket. I was like, well, I at least got to tell people why I hate this movie, so I got to finish it just to tell them that. It really was a terrible experience, like the whole film.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother watching the new film.
It's not worth it.
I'm going to tell you, the idea for me, from my perspective of him coming to the MCU is like, oh, thank God it's another white guy. I'm so no, I'm just kidding. That's not what I was thinking. What I'm thinking is he brings some gravitas with his work, and he really focuses on that kind of energy. He wants to get that dramatic. I mean, we saw that with some of Marvel. We saw that with Infinity Wars, the entire Infinity Saga, Winter Soldier, all that shit, man. We saw that gravity, that gravitas in storytelling where it was serious, man. Take this shit serious. Funny stuff can happen, but when you become irreverent, and this is one thing I know Ben Affleck is not. He's not irreverent. He very much does revere comic books. He's a fucking nerd.
Yes.
I don't know if he's as big a nerd as Favreau is, but I do know that he is a comic book nerd. I mean, that guy was high through the 80s and early 90s.
Look, let me tell you something.
Reading
okay?
comics.
Outside of the people that we know are legitimate nerds for comics, okay? Ben Affleck is definitely one, okay? He knew all of the Daredevil comics, and he was an even bigger Batman fan. Okay, you don't get to be like that.
Yeah, because I remember all that talk Kevin Smith was talking about that.
Yeah.
When he's in the movie Mallrats, he's basically, you're Bruce Wayne, man. You're Bruce Wayne.
But you have to be, and Favreau's the same way. You don't get to do all of the things that he's been successful with and not be a comic book fan, okay, or even a Star Wars or Star Trek fan.
And I want to bring that up with Argo. He knew how big Jack Kirby was with that.
Oh, yeah.
And how necessary he was. And I was so glad that they brought stuff up about Jack Kirby in the film, because people don't understand that it was Jack Kirby's artwork that sold this fake movie idea to the Islamists that were holding him hostage.
And then not to say anything. You know, the kind of guy Jack was. He was a soldier.
Yeah, when he said punch a Nazi, he meant actual fucking Nazi. I love how the progressives in America are like, I'm going to punch a Nazi, you're a Nazi. It's like, whatever. I'm sure I'm going to have to delete my saying that from the show, but I'm going to go and say it anyway. I'll probably bleep out the N-word.
You mean the other N-word?
The other N-word. The one that progressives love to throw around.
I just think that, I think that's one of the selling points for him to have made that movie, was the fact that you had a tie-in to Jack Kirby.
I do believe that too. I totally do. Did you see the making of documentary? Because it definitely delved into it. I love that.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the making of a documentary, but again, as I was saying, everyone who is an actual fan, whether it's Edgar Wright or someone like Ben Affleck or Jon Favreau, all of the real fans are the ones who are shouldering a lot of the heavy lifting so that all the pseudo fans can walk around talking about how much of a fan they actually are.
Right.
You know, I mean, the MCU started out being pretty much, I mean, somebody get Jon Favreau a chiropractor because he's doing so much heavy lifting, you know? And Edgar Wright, the fact that nobody's ever actually had Edgar Wright make a comic book movie, I mean, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So close, man. So close. But, Marvel Feige had their ideas and he didn't like it. They wanted tie-ins. But let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I think this has been a great conversation because I love talking about this stuff. But let's move on to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to make MCU return in Secret Wars. And the two exciting things here is Garfield is Spider-Man again, and two, Secret Wars. Because even though I hate that comic series and it made me quit reading comics, I actually like parts of the comic that were actually good. Which was the ones that involved the main characters. It was the side characters. It's like, in order to get the rest of the story, you need to buy these comics. And
well,
it was so
that's
bad.
the machine.
Yeah, it's like Marvel going, we need to make money. We're also going to do variant covers. But I'm excited about this because one of the coolest things came out of the Secret Wars, which was, of course, the symbiote. Because it was alien, and it attached itself to Peter Parker when he was fighting on those planets. We also have some interesting characters that are coming with the Secret Wars that, I don't know, I hope they do this right. I get so nervous with Victoria Alonso. But I'm getting rumors that she's already up on the chopping block. That Chapek's ready to fire her. Because I was unaware of this, that she went public during a public event and brought up Chapek by name and insulted and criticized him. So I'm like, oh, she's out. She is out. Because that's when he went after with the other dude.
Right, Peter Rice. That's what I said. Chapek, he don't waste any time. If he has that clearance from the board, he's like, okay, he'll swoop in there. So,
and that was absolutely a personal thing with him. And with her having done that, and I was unaware of that until yesterday or day before when I found out, and I'm like,
day before.
Really?
You found out the day before.
It's like, man, oh man. So Garfield returning as Spider-Man is awesome by itself. Even though I wasn't a big fan of his movies, he was a great Peter Parker Spider-Man.
You could tell he loved it.
And he was great in No Way Home.
So this
has
article,
some of the best moments.
Yeah, I agree. So this one's by Edwin Francisco and Mikey Sutton. We're going to look for the snark. You know that's Mikey.
It's covered.
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man will make his MCU return in Secret Wars. The reception of the return of both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the Tom Holland Spider-Man No Way Home was incredible. Millions loved seeing them back in action. Not only that, Spider-Man No Way Home was the most successful film since the Avengers Endgame, which I didn't think was that good a film. I was very disappointed with that. Even in the live audience, there was a packed audience. You heard a lot of disappointment with the way people reacted to certain scenes. You could hear people gutturally react.
Well, it was that A-Force moment. That's what really...
Oh, yeah, because you heard people like, oh, man.
They're like, what
dude,
what? It just looks so goofy.
It fucking was. It was a Jasmine and the other princesses fucking moment. And it's like, that doesn't belong in fucking Marvel. Immediately after the movie, rumors started that Maguire and Andrew Garfield may get their versions back into the limelight, which I'm very happy to hear, especially with Maguire. I mean, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
With Sam Raimi directing again for the MCU, why not make Maguire return for Spider-Man 4? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Or 3 redo. Because that movie is so bad. And it's not his fault. It's not his. It's, what's his name? Avi Arad. And
forced Venom on him.
And who's the other one? It was Avi Arad and the other dude that fucked that movie.
Avi and what was it? The other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
I thought it was John Watts, not John Watts, but
it's Avi Arad and
was it Ari and Avi?
Was it Ari?
I think so.
All I know is that they forced Venom into that.
Yeah.
And it just didn't fit. It didn't work. But anyway, to get all of them and MJ back on screen, which, gosh, I almost wish I would recast her because I never liked her as MJ. On June 20th, we leaked that Marvel Studios plans to include Maguire and Garfield in Secret Wars, which absolutely, we believe in Mikey Sutton. And this group that does this show, we believe in Mikey Sutton. And when he gives you a leaked rumor, son, you can take that to the bank, as that old saying goes. Sources revealed that Garfield will be in Secret Wars. Garfield, we've initially broke Secret Wars back in October of 19. Secret Wars is, did he do that with you?
No, it was like really before I started.
Before you guys started, okay.
So 3 years ago, see, he already had Secret Wars out there. That's crazy.
Secret Wars is going to be Marvel Studios' next big crossover film. Some insiders tell us that Secret Wars will be a trilogy. Without a doubt, it needs to be. I think it should be. It'll be large and it'll be larger than Avengers Endgame.
They have to almost do that. They almost have to go this far, to do that.
No shitting in the bed on this one, guys. Let's stop that shit. Marvel Studios has been building up a ton more characters for the MCU, but on the back end, the highlight is the multiverse. Yes, Marvel Studios has been trickling every other project with the multiverse, while other projects focus on themselves as new characters. And because of the multiverse, we are able to bring back Garfield and Maguire, which, thank God for the multiverse. Even though I still think they don't understand string theory, even though string theory isn't even a proper theory anymore. But anyway, at some point, you expect Marvel. They'll be progressive, but not in science. Anyway. Wow. At some point, don't you wow me, motherfucker. At some point, the multiverse is going to be the main event. In other words, Secret Wars winter is coming. Winter is coming. But I expect them to deliver on this. I don't expect it to be like HBO. It's like that in the dark battle at the end.
Oh my goodness!
If you can't see what's going on in that battle, it's your inability to control the contrast and color on your own TV. Yeah, whatever.
If you close your eyes, you could probably see more than you saw in that whole scene.
Hell yeah. Loki introduced it using, again, the string theory. Badly used the string theory. Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness just gave us a taste of it. Imagine Secret Wars version of the multiverse turned up to 11. 11! The dial goes to 11. Well, why don't you just make 10 louder? It's 11! That's a Spinal Tap joke for any of you nerds who don't fucking know that. Anyway, we've been hearing, it's like the third time I made that joke this week. Someone said 11 on something, and I'm like, I go right into that because that's all I think. When someone says going to 11, I'm like, off the chart is what they mean. It's like, yeah, it's Spinal Tap. Anyway, and I'm excited about the rumors of there being finally a sequel to that. I'm like, yeah, I fucking love that. We've been hearing so much about it, Secret Wars. The only thing missing is Kevin Feige's official announcement. Avengers Endgame directors Anthony and Joseph Russo continually name drop Secret Wars. Yeah, but they kind of shit on Marvel, and that's why I wonder if they'll have him back. With
the Russos?
Yeah, the Russos said there was never really a plan.
I think it's happening.
You think
I think
even after
I think
negotiating.
because they
I think
tossed
the
Marvel
Russo
under the bus when they did.
Well, I think they'll be back because you got to look at it from their point of view. In the time that they were with Marvel, they were there as certain people started to become a little more influential in the background. Mm-hmm. And so they left just as that person was influencing and flexing.
Right at Endgame, right? Yeah.
And if they Victoria?
Vicky, yes. And so when Vicky's gone, I think
before we go into this, I do want to mention that Jim Shooter has gone public and said that it's happening. So that's big. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I just think that once she's gone, it'll be easier for the Russos to come back and go, well, we're ready to get busy.
This is Victoria gone phase.
Yeah, public negotiation. They cannot do this. They can't match Infinity Saga without the Russos, really. I don't think there's no way they can really.
Well, I think it can be matched, but I think the Russos bring their own knowledge of at least the actors that they had worked with. But look, they know they've done something that big before.
Been in that sandbox, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they can balance all of that. I think any other director, if you give them time, can do it. But I think what you need is a really big direct. Look, if they were to announce tomorrow, totally out of the blue, and I'm not saying this has happened, but if they were to announce tomorrow that Christopher Nolan is doing Secret Wars, minds would melt. Marvel fans would just.
And I would say this to you on that one. My argument on that one is he's not tested on Marvel.
No, he's not. But
I don't think he's the right kind of director. I don't think many directors could handle it like the Russo brothers, because the Russos, and this is where I align with Sil on this, is that the Russos are tested. They got it right. They know how to do it.
And they're comic book fans.
And with all of those things all in alignment, they are the perfect directors for this film to match what they did with the I won't say Endgame, but with
Infinity War.
What's so impressive with that, right? I mean, you have multiple battles going on. It was in Titan.
And they show that they know how to do that.
And I'm like, and you think with Secret Wars, right? You're talking about battle worlds, right? So you got to balance.
There is a fear.
What I'm saying, 30 characters,
Exactly, and there's a fear with him because of Tenet. Tenet was once again another Christopher Nolan vanity project. It really is.
Say it. That
he likes doing vanity projects. Despite them being critically acclaimed, they often don't do very well box office wise. It's his Batman films that did.
I do believe that there is one director that seriously, if they were to announce that they were doing it, outside of the Russos, I think a lot of people would get really excited, and that's Jon Favreau.
There you go. You said the magic word. He wins.
I was about to say Zack Snyder.
Confetti falls. Magic Word, Jon Favreau.
Secret
wait
War,
a minute. Hey, Flaccid Phoenix, if you're watching.
Internet explodes.
I love you, man. But fuck you. But I love you, man. But fuck you. Jen, because Jon Favreau is a god. He's the savior of anything he touches. Fuck you, Flaccid. Love you, buddy.
Favreau knows
but
what he's
no,
doing,
look, man, he knows this shit, man. He launched.
he was in every beginning,
the
right?
MCU.
Yeah.
Now, the only other name I would throw out there is James Gunn.
James Gunn, again, my problem with James Gunn, he's irreverent. And
true, he is irreverent. But you know what?
The entire time.
If you had Jon Favreau directing a script from James Gunn.
Now there. You've got me if you say he wrote it. But directing it, no.
Yeah.
I don't think James Gunn is the right guy.
The third act's going to be terrible if Gunn
and
you know it.
And you know that shit can be fixed in post, right?
but with Secret Wars, again, obviously Garfield, Maguire, that's great news. We're expecting it. Garfield, supposedly, he's going to have a couple projects before he crosses with the MCU. So he's going to have Sony kind of hopefully not messing that up. And then you're going to see him in the MCU. But Secret Wars, all I care about with that, you got to get Dr. Doom right, to me.
Heck yes.
Dr. Doom for me, and so, and of course you got to get the right creators back, Russo's, whoever, but I got to see what they're doing with Dr. Doom. And then I can get more excited for Secret Wars.
Yeah, I roger that, but I do want to move on to this next thing here.
I'm just saying, you got to get the right Dr. Doom. But.
Oh, no, I agree with you, and I like that production art if it's actual production. Because it looks like Dr. Doom.
All I can say is Magneto.
Well,
that's
his
your clue.
The metal of his armor, I believe, should be vibranium.
That would be dope.
The Dr. Doom should have vibranium armor, which could be why he's mentioned in rumors for the Wakanda Forever.
Supposedly, post-credit scene. Yeah.
Michael Fassbender. That's all I can say.
Fucking Michael Fassbender. Yeah.
He would be a great Dr. Doom.
The nerd in me just orgasmed when you said that.
Fassbender would kill that.
But let's get away from that nerdgasm shit and move on to this funny little story that we'll end the show on, which is Warner Brothers Discovery will consider Elliot Page to replace Ezra Miller's Flash, which both Keith and I have been involved in that conversation with Mikey on Facebook, and a private conversation. And I'm always throwing my little digs in. Because, the problem right now, and this is a real problem, is that a certain person, Zaslav, is not a creative. He's not a movie guy. And he pays way too much attention to social media. And there's a crowd on social media, progressive crowd, that is really fucking loud, but it's a very small number. And they don't pay to go see Marvel movies. They're not the ones who pay to see it. They push, they're activists, and that's all they are. So let's get into this article by Joy Lynn Francisco and our good dear friend Mikey Sutton. Warner Brothers Discovery won't rule out recasting Ezra Miller's The Flash with Elliot Page. However, Warner Brothers Discovery have not begun talks with Elliot Page. But according to an insider, Elliot Page is an actor they will look at for the role. Nevertheless, there are absolutely no plans for the studio to remove Ezra Miller from the Flash film. It's done. It's already in the can. Warner Brothers already spent $200 million on the movie. This is where I divert from him because I say another $100 million, up to another $100 million, they could replace Ezra. They could hire the new actor and do CG reshoots. Because a lot of that stuff was brought in through effects, through CG, when he's playing multiple characters. So there are separate plates. Well, you know what I mean when I say plates. They don't use plates anymore, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Warner Brothers already spent $200 million on the movie. If they mean to reshoot the parts where Ezra Miller is in the Flash, then that's the flip. Recasting equals reshooting, and reshooting equals, and same original movie budget. No, I don't agree. Because you're only involving the one actor. So that brings the Flash to at least a $400 million price. I disagree. I think it would be $300. And I think they could easily make $1 billion if they did it. It's a real gamble keeping Ezra in. they won't break even. And I agree with you, 400 million, it would be hard to, but you could do it with 300. But anyway, the legal quagmire Ezra Miller pushed Warner Brothers Discovery to look for a new Flash after the first one. This is about the Flash's distant future. DC Films can't catch a break. Well, they can't catch a break because they're their own worst enemy, Walter Hamada. Their actor actions and decision outside their characters breed bad PR, especially Ezra Miller, Amber Heard, and Will Smith. Only recently Will Smith. While the situations are far apart in nature, it wreaks havoc on the DCU itself and its plans. Granted, I'm sorry. That was a Flash joke. With Oscars slap to Chris Rock, long faded from the headlines, then again, that split opinions in the middle. Some felt Smith was justified on the contrary. Many were either offended or upset at Ezra and at Heard. Well, no shit, a majority. I would say a majority. Amber Heard's presence in Aquaman sequel looms with an unfavorable response from audiences. Now, DC Films is keen on having Emilia Clarke as the new Mira, which I fucking think is great. What do you guys think? Right? Yeah, hell yeah.
Why not?
She's hot. She's hot. Without official news yet, the rumor alone is gaining a happy and hopeful message online. Meanwhile, back at the stately Wayne Manor, Warner Brothers Discovery wants the Ezra Miller problem to run away. Recently, Deadline revealed that the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role in future DC films. That's absolutely certain. The news sparked a speedy consideration for other actors to don the Flash suit in place of Ezra Miller. Fans have run down a list of actors, and I would not call fans the ones who said that Elliot Page is gaining popularity, because I don't buy that for a fucking second. No fucking way. According to tweets, aside from Grant Gustin, Elliot Page can make a good Barry Allen, but we know that Grant Gustin's out. He just doesn't make the money. He just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a movie actor, Grant Gustin.
No. And, and the numbers on his show are pretty much gone. And I think you're muted, Keith.
The way that part is written, Grant Gustin cannot perform that role the way that it is written. And if you're going to keep the same creative people behind the scenes and just change the lead actor, that means you're dealing with the same script. On top of that, it's going to look kind of odd for him to be acting opposite a different actress to play Iris. And I personally think that his co-star on the show, Candice Patton, part of the reason why she's been saying some of this stuff is I think that in the background she's a little bit, hurt that she's not being considered to take that next jump up with her co-star. I mean, they've spent all this time building chemistry on the TV show. I think her and her reps are thinking, well, why not her? And you're having to make all these changes just to suit a certain number of fans who, for whatever reason, are still watching the television show. So just through that alone, he's done. You can't, he's a great actor. Everybody's a really good actor, but not for the way that it is written now.
Yeah. So, but, and even Mikey pointed this out too, because you and I think we were the first ones to point it out, that the numbers that he gets on the CW aren't good.
No.
And they are looking at that. They want somebody who's getting some numbers, so who's popular. But anyway, I believe, and through our conversations with Mikey, that this is a flash in the pan because Zaslav pays too much attention to what's going on social media and doesn't know how to interpret what he's seeing on social media, which is a problem. You need people that know how to read social media before you start going in directions at studios. And that's been the problem this whole time. A lot of their decision making has been made over not knowing how to read social media. Mm-hmm. And they see something get loud and shared by a specific group of people, And you think, well, that's everybody. No, it's not. It's literally the smallest section, the smallest group of people. It's just they're loud.
Yeah, this Elliot Page thing, you know, it's not a large group that's, you know, I think more people want Grant Gustin than Elliot Page, really, if you're going to compare. But it's not enough people to really make this a thing. I don't think so. I just think it's a name that's been thrown out there. Maybe it's some little political thing to it as well. But I hope the story just
I think that Elliot Page thing it's going to fade into the background. And the main problem is there's a vacuum at Warner Discovery right now because nobody's really managing DC right now.
Yeah.
Hamada has an office, and but I don't think he's doing a fucking thing. I think that he's just got to sit there and take his paycheck and not talk to anybody. Yeah, I know Zaslav doesn't want to talk to him.
Well, Zaslav is publicly, you know, posturing for people to take his job, right? So that same thing happened with Emmerich. We know what happened there. So, you know, Hamada's going to step down real soon.
I think what they have to do is definitely they need to find someone to become Barry Allen. And for me, your two choices are Lucas Till and Logan Lerman. Both those actors are more than capable. And for me personally, Lucas Till would be perfect as Barry Allen. Because
I like Dylan O'Brien. That's another name.
Well, I was going to say Lucas Till actually looks like Barry Allen from the comics. You don't really need to do anything to him. Just give him the costume, let him go. Now, can he do the comedy thing? I don't know. Can he bring that kind of humor? I don't know. I think he could do all the physical.
Man, you know, it's a gift to be able to do that. Ryan Reynolds, because he tried back in the 2000s. You know, before he did Green Lantern, actually, it was before he did Green Lantern, he was wanting to be Barry Allen. And
he could have. He should have been Barry Allen, you know. But that, to me, that it just goes to show that, you know, some of it is timing, some of it is talent, and I think dealing with Zack Snyder and this still being a part of his universe, you're going to need to find someone that can basically play this role the way that Zack Snyder needs it to be played for at least 2 more Justice League films. That's really what you're doing. You're marking time so you can get those 2 movies done. And once he's decided to leave, once he leaves DC and Warner Brothers and stops doing this stuff, then you can change it up for anything you want. But until he does that, you're stuck with his version of that character. So
yeah, I agree.
Ezra Miller really screwed up. Yeah, I'm saying Ezra Miller really screwed up this whole situation. Like, it just being a nut.
Get a fucking manager.
You know what I mean? It's with a publicist or something, you know, because this is ridiculous that you got this film, it's been close to $300 million on already.
Yeah.
I mean, with all these COVID delays, you know, that price goes up. So, like, they may not even break even because of this situation. It's ridiculous.
And you've already pissed off Michael Keaton. I mean, he's about fed up with it.
Yeah, because we all know that Keaton was one of the people who came forward with Zaslav and said, "Hey, man, you guys owe me this. You know, I was promised this, so I am owed this." And that's part of the reason why I think they also feel compelled to release the film as is. But at the same time, I still think that because multiple versions of him are
versions of Ezra Miller.
Effects.
Yeah.
You know, they're done through visual effects, so they're on separate layers or plates. Old school call it plates. It's layers when you're doing video production, video editing, and doing CG. So you know that those can be changed into masters. So I think that $100 million could do it. Hire a new actor for whatever you pay him. You know, they could probably get him for as low as 10 to 15 mil. You know,
they can get someone affordable.
And then shoot just those scenes. That's all you have to do is shoot that person. You don't have to get everybody back. Just that person. So, but anyway, that's it for this week. I think we all have expressed ourselves very well. We miss 24/7 and Arwen again this week, but hopefully we'll get the gang back together next week. I'm hoping to hear from 24/7 soon. Man, it's really weird not hearing from him, and he's not doing anything else. He's not even doing his show, Reality Kings, on Sunday. So, but,
come on back, 24. We miss you, man.
Been less rants.
Man, that's cool.
We can't do this without you.
But
We're
for
too
this
nice.
week, yeah, we've got Keith, my partner in crime, and of course Sil Abdul. You can catch Sil Abdul on his channel show, which is called Scoop Center.
Scoop Center's the big one. Yeah. Now
You know
I'm
what
going to
you
be on
need to
Monday.
do? You
Starting
need to
next
blue
week.
screen that to where it's just you, and then you make this CG created sports center looking screen with desk.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
then
idea.
CG, because Culture Casino's been doing it. So I know it's doable. You should do that. It would be really cool.
Yeah,
When you have
I'm
Mikey
gonna
on,
steal that.
you could just put him over on another side of the desk. It'll be fun. But until next week, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, if you are here, Flaccid Phoenix, love you, buddy. Fuck you. Love you, man. This is Scoop Zone signing off. See you guys next week.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you.